What is up, guys? How's it going? Good to have everybody here again. How's it going? Dimitri in the house, Slam Cannon, Dougal, Captain Berto. What's going on? Barack Uslu is also in the house. What's up, Carlos Mendez? Good to see you here, bud. Some new faces, some familiar faces. How's it going, guys? We are sitting in a lovely Nimbus Chicago. I think I already did a flight out of this airport before, but I just wanted to do another one. This isn't technically a realistic route for JetBlue to fly Chicago to Philadelphia. I was originally going to go Chicago to Boston, but then I realized it was 800 miles, and I don't have enough time for that today, unfortunately. So we shortened it up a little bit. We're going to go to Philadelphia, so let's hop into our lovely 320 here, and let's get this thing fired up. So we're sitting on ground power here. I got the ADIRs aligning. Pretty much everything else is cold and dark. We are using the lovely Matavia mod. So Dimitri asked if we're flying the V1 skin today. Unfortunately, no, man. I had this airplane repoed by my good friend NASA, so was not able to fly the V1 bird. That bird is resting before we go on the Euro tour. I was really hoping that we would be using VATSIM by now, but unfortunately, guys, I had 2 test flights in VATSIM already, just as I kind of work through here this initialization flow. I had 2 flights with VATSIM using XPilot, and I had crashed to desktop on both of them. So I'm going to go ahead and just shy away from that just for a few more days. Hopefully they can get maybe another update out or something. Look at all the stripes in the chat. I agree, Dimitri. It's looking good. Couple 2-stripers in the house. Yes, sir. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our load. We're going to take a 320-214 out to Philly. So let's go ahead and get our configuration here. We've got ground power on right now. We have, let's call the fuel truck over here. I think that's way too much fuel. I'm going to go ahead and back this fuel off to 7.9. We'll set that. Passengers, you know me, I like to take a full load. Let's load them up, guys. Full packs. Whoa, I hope that didn't mess up the weight and balance there. And let's go ahead and set some cargo as well. How's that look? Well, that looks good right there. This looks like we're pretty much loaded up. Captain Clueless, how's it going, man? Good to have you here. Irish Batman, also in the house. How's it going? So one thing that I did do, unfortunately, I put the Matavia mod on this wonderful skin, and it got rid of my blue wingtip fences there. But hey, other than that, I mean, I'm really loving this bird. I was really hoping we could fly the 319 with the BSS pack today, guys. Was really hoping we could do 319 BSS pack, but it's not out yet, so we're hanging tight. Comrade is killing me with all his teasers. We're gonna go on and auto arm those. Let's go ahead and take a look at our temps. I wonder if we should do a no APU. Should we do no APU flight today? Let's see. What's the outside air temp? Oh, it's freezing in the cockpit right now. We're going to need to... Let's go ahead and fire up the APU. Dimitri says, had their cross the pond day, and it was epic. Had to hold that EGLL. Oh, man. Dougal, you lost your stripes and had to create a new account? Oh, man. I don't think there's anything I can do to fix that. Man, I'm sorry that you lost your stripes there, Dougal. I'll have to look into that. I don't know if there's a way I can maybe go back and change your longevity. I don't think so, unfortunately. Man, listen to this APU spooling up, though, huh? I did a walk around the other night. It was a beautiful day outside, so I decided to go walk around. And as I was going underneath the tail, there was an Embraer, I believe it was a 170, 175 next to us. And they were firing up the APU, and when that thing lit off, you could actually see a puff of flame come out the tailpipe. It's kind of a cool little effect. I'm not sure that's 100% normal. I don't know if there was some unburnt fuel left in there or what, but it was pretty nice. Guys, I'm going to be doing a couple things different as well procedurally. we've had some revision changes in our company manuals. Sometimes these things happen, like they've added a couple things to our checklist and kind of changed up some regular flow patterns. So I'm going to try my best to do that, just to, when you do something for such a long time and then they change a little thing in the procedures, it makes it difficult to switch over. So I'm going to use this simulator as well to kind of help myself ingrain those new procedures. Basically what they did is they had the captain flow and then an FO, or first officer flow, but now what they've done is they've pretty much switched it to pilot flying, pilot not flying. So the pilot flying does everything, including what the captain flow used to be, and then the pilot not flying does a completely different set of items, which is weird. But I guess it's to get our checklist more in line with Airbus. So, all right, let's go ahead and get this puppy fired up here. All right. Flight plan, we are out of, let's see, 10 October? What's today? I think we're out of date, aren't we? 28 October. Oof. Oh, well. Nobody here to yell at us. We're going to go O'Hare to Philadelphia. No offense to anybody who lives in Philly. We're going to go JetBlue is 153. 99-350. Initialize, align on ref, and confirm. Boom. All right, so let's go O'Hare. We're going to depart. I believe it's, I'm pulling up my ACARS weather here. Since I'm not using Pilot Edge, I'm going to just use my real weather, my real procedures from my iPad here, just to make everything flow nice and smoothly. Right now the winds are 310 at 3, basically calm, so I would imagine they're shooting off 10 left. We're going to go 10 left at Delta Delta on the... Let's see, there is no SID available. That's weird. All right, we're going to go 10 left to Gulf India Juliet. Let's build this proper. Kevin Simpson, how's it going, man? Good to have you here. Dougal, you're crying for your stripes, man. Aw, Dougal, I wish I could fix it for you, bud. Gulf India Juliet to Ashin, Alpha Sierra Hotel, Echo November, India. Ashin Dryer, which is Delta Juliet Bravo. And then Johnstown for the Bojet arrival. So again, here's a duplicate name. We want the one 400 miles away, not the one 4,000 miles away. Let's go ahead and insert that puppy there. Philly arrival. I don't know what they're landing in Philly right now. I'm going to assume 27 right on the Bojet 2. Now, this is... I feel like this has happened to me here a couple of times. Johnstown transition. So you see, I have to dig around in the star, and I was talking to Phantom 320. He's a former 320 pilot as well. We were talking about how I don't know what happened or what update that Flight Factor messed around with their logic here in the MCDU, but it doesn't flow like it should. When I input an arrival, I should be able to select the transition right after inputting that arrival. So now you have to kind of input the arrival, select no via, then jump back to the flight plan page, and then arrow right to get to the transitions. It doesn't work like that in the real airplane. It's kind of a, I don't know when that started happening, but I've noticed it on the TOLUS as well. So I don't know if there was different software maybe in Europe that they're running over there, but definitely it's not as smooth as it flows in the real airplane. I need to change my name to Romulus Two Stripe. There you go. Alright, there we go. Dougal, someone got a hold of your password? That's not good, man. Alright, there's our route. That looks good. I should have had the constraints on when we looked at that, but let's see here. Asian Dryer. So the O'Hare departure procedure is one of those where I would come in here, I would go fix info, and go ORD, and I would do some rings for us. But unfortunately, I can't even do that in the fix info page. So that sucks. But hey, there's our flight plan. Let's do our quick secondary. Let's initialize O'Hare to O'Hare. Secondary again, secondary. We're going to come right back around. If we have to do an emergency return to land, we're going to come right back around on 10 left. Secondary again, performance. We only care about the approach performance. Right now, the current altimeter, I guess I can pull it up from right here as well. Where are we at? There we are. Details. 3006 in the meter. What do we got for temps outside? Showing 8C. Oops. And light and variable wind, so we'll just call it 040. We're going to do a 200 DH for the return. Perfect. Nothing to hard tune here. Actually, you know what? I will hard tune something today. I'm going to hard tune the... Uh-oh. Is it not called O'Hare VOR anymore? That's right, it's not. It's been changed. This is a Golf Charlie Oscar. Is now Chicago VOR. I don't know why they changed that, but there we go. GCO. So we've got GCO hard tuned in there. What that's going to allow me to do is on this departure procedure, there's a couple rings that we have to meet. Basically a 5.5 nautical mile arc and an 8.5 nautical mile arc around the O'Hare VOR. And you have to cross those at or above 3,000 and 4,000 respectively. So the best way to put that in the airplane in real life would be to come here, go GCO for Chicago, and then I would put radius, and I would go radius of 5, and it would draw a circle right here around GCO. But unfortunately, it doesn't do that, so we're kind of out of luck for that. But we've got O'Hare set up in there, and what I also want to do, since it is a vector departure, is this set up properly for a vector? No. What we're going to do here is I'm just going to put a T here, doesn't matter which one, and then I'm going to clear it out, insert. So now what I've done is I've manually created a discontinuity, because this is a vector departure. They want you to fly runway heading, and then they're going to assign you something. So if you have no disco here, you just have Gulf India Juliet, your airplane's going to start navving after you take off. You don't want that. So to create a disco, I just put in T as in Tango, clear it out, and then you have a discontinuity in there. So that's one thing that'll get you if you're not paying close attention, or you loaded up in a departure procedure, but it's actually a vector, and there's anticipating a vector on takeoff. You don't want to start navving. So we've got that. We have a hard-tuned GCO there, and so what I'll do here is I'll select VOR, and now I'm going to have distance hard-tuned. You can see it now, 1 mile when we're climbing out. So I'll be able to reference my distance from Chicago and be able to meet those altitude restrictions. All right, so RadNav is done. The progress page, just a quick and dirty GPS DME here. I'm going to just do O'Hare 10 left right there. And for initialization page B, let's arrow right. Let's come over here to our perf page. Let's go ahead and do a weight request. Zero fuel weight, 60.0. That matches right here. Zero fuel weight CG, 28.5. Perfect. Up 0.2. That's all we need. So let's go perf. Let's go see what the kind of numbers they give us. We're going to bump them up a little bit. We're going to go 140. Let's scratch that. We're going to go 137. 143. 149. We're going to do a flaps 1 departure. And we're not paying for maintenance, so we're just going to go a full yoga takeoff out of here. No need to flex in the flight sim. What do I want to do? I want to come back over here to the service page. We can go ahead and remove the baggage loaders. Let's go ahead and tell our ground handling to drive away. We can go ahead and close up these 2 doors. We have our fuel, so we can go ahead and remove our fuel truck. And now, let's take a look at our overhead. Let's get the APU bleed on and turn that off. So basically everybody's in here freezing because I didn't have the APU bleed on. So let's take a look at what's the temperature in the cockpit or in the cabin right now. Yeah, 9C out in the back. It's a little bit cold. So we're going to go ahead and get it warmed up. Look at the trim air valves opening. Now that's a little bit exaggerated there, how fast they moved, but you can see now we're pumping in 71 degree air, and it's going to bring up our cabin temperatures. Kevin Simpson says, I've flown the Flight Factor 320 for a while, and I've learned so much just watching these videos. Thank you very much. Very helpful. Kevin, my pleasure, man. I'm glad you're enjoying the content and learning how to fly this wonderful airplane. It is a pleasure for me to share my knowledge with you guys. So we're going to go initial altitude of 5,000. We're going to go initial altitude of 5,000 there. Let's go ahead and clear that out. So I got to do this weird flow. So now I would come back over here and I would go test. Oh, that's cool. See how we're testing the oxygen? That's actually modeled. I didn't know that. And then all the white lights are out. Okay, so this is just, it's the same stuff. It's just out of order, and I don't know why they, I mean, I know why they elected to change it, but it's something I got to do. Then I come here and I go FD is on, FD 5,000. Perfect. So let's do a before start checklist to the line is what they're called now. Before start checklist to the line, a maintenance log and tail numbers on board and check. Cockpit prep, that sounds very French, that's complete. Gear pins and covers removed. Signs are on and auto. ADIRS, we are navin. Fuel, 7.5 required, 7.8 on board. Altimeters, 3006, I said. Let's set it once, twice, and 3 times. Set. EFB checked. Before start checklist to the line. All right. Dimitri coming in. $10 super chat donation. How's it going, my man? Thank you, Dimitri. Really appreciate your support for the channel. He says, for a couple of breakfast rolls at the next trip and the nice McDo tips today. Awesome, man. Really appreciate that. Thanks, Dimitri. I'll be getting myself a few breakfast rolls. Believe me, man, my next trip on Wednesday, my report time is 5:15 in the morning. Like, that's the time I have to be at the airplane. That is brutal. So I'm definitely going to be getting some breakfast rolls. Thank you, Dimitri. Really appreciate that. Another donation coming in. Barak Uslu, $20 donations. He says, another awesome tip to go around the McDo airs. Thank you, Barak. Really appreciate your support, man. Thanks for that $20 bomb donation. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. I'm glad you guys are learning. It's definitely a pleasure for me to be able to share this with you guys. So you guys are awesome. All right, let's pre-plan our pushback here. That's where I want to go. We can go ahead and hide our ground services, hide all of them. And I feel like I'm forgetting something. Maybe it's just because we're not on Pilot Edge, and I'm used to Pilot Edge. We're going to get rid of the ground power, but I think we're pretty much good to go, guys. Doors and windows are closed. Look at this beautiful livery, man. One thing I like about the Matavia mod is it allows you to do a extra reflective texture of the fuselage. I think it looks really sharp. Really sharp. Man. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of that guy. And let's do a before start checklist below the line. Windows, doors, and slides. They are closed and armed. Beacon. That's my bad. On. Thrust levers idle. Parking brake is on for now. Transponder is going to be set. So before start checklist complete. We're just going to squawk 1200. Put that in above mode. And on for you. And let's go ahead and get out of here, guys. Let's go. Man, have you guys been listening to the BSS teaser? I can never find this. Here we go. Start pushback. The teaser from Comrade. I think it's going to be the best sound pack add-on he's got. I think it's going to be even better than the 320. I am super excited. Oh, check this out. I forgot to set my time here. I love this about the Nimbus Atlanta. And I was never a fan of this, guys, being able to see people in here. But now that I'm in an airport that I actually have this modeled, I am a fan of this now. And I mean, when you have the CPU resources to spare, then definitely. If you're definitely resource heavy, I would like to see them include this in an option where you don't have this so you could save some resources. But just sitting here looking at this is pretty cool. I should have set my departure time. I could have done it up here by going to plugins and Nimbus O'Hare, and I could change my departure time, but that's really cool.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
All right, she's connecting downstairs. We got Haley in the back doing her safety announcement. It's kind of cool. She's recorded as a JetBlue flight attendant, and we are on a JetBlue airplane today. Romulus said, V1 Sim, do you think they change up the procedures from time to time on purpose to make you think more about them? No, Romulus, I don't really think so. The explanation that I got from our company was we're basically just trying to get our checklist more in line with Airbus and what they recommend. So as Airbus kind of moves their procedures a little bit, if you have a specific set from your company.
Release parking brake.
All right, brakes released, tail in the alley.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
So when your company has a certain set of items on a checklist that may have come from Airbus way back in the beginning, then over time Airbus kind of changes theirs a little bit. Your checklist gets further and further away from what Airbus is recommending. So over time, it's common to have some FOM changes. We call them FOM changes, flight ops manual changes, procedure changes. And that's really just to stay up with all the little things that get changed. There's more software, there's more, little add-ons that you get on your fleet sometimes. So I think it's just to stay more in line with Airbus. And I mean, on the checklist, it says cockpit prep. I mean, if that doesn't sound French, I don't know what doesn't sound French. I mean, cockpit prep complete, sir. So yeah, that's the new one there, and it's no longer the pre-flight checklist. It's the before start checklist, above and below the line. They added a couple other ones for approach and landing as well. All right, I think we'll go ahead and fire it up here. Let's go engine to start. There we go. Fire it up, engine 1. Talk to me, Goose. Let's listen to these start up here.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
Oh. Brake set, clear, disconnect. Show me the pin out front. Thanks for the push.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Man, that sounds good, huh? Rose Jackson, he says, V1, how are you? I had my first day of training as a flight attendant, exhausted. Sorry I've been missing the stream. No worry, Rose Jackson. Glad to have you here, man. That's awesome. Going through your training as to be a flight attendant, that's definitely exhausting. I know you guys work hard. I know when we go back to the schoolhouse to train for recurrent and stuff, we always see the flight attendants. They might be doing their initial training or whatnot, and they're going through door operations, and they're doing all their commands, and it could definitely be exhausting. I could definitely see that. But that's cool, man. Glad to have you here today. All right, let's go ahead and fire up engine 2 just because this airplane sat overnight. So we want to get a good start on both engines.
Disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
All right, thanks for the push. We'll see you next time. Jeremy Harvey in the house. It says, V1 Sim, do you as a pilot seriously only have 25 minutes between flights during the day? Or is that 25 minutes between for the aircraft? So it depends on where you work, Jeremy. I know Southwest, they pride themselves in the 30-minute turn. So that's, from when you block in at the gate, that airplane needs to be pushing off the gate in 30 minutes. Now, depending on where you work, I mean, it could take, they may do 45-minute blocks. To be honest with you, I don't even know if we have a set block that we try to make. But generally, if there is no aircraft swap, it's around 45 to 50 minutes on the ground if you're just doing a turn. Now, sometimes you may have 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours. We call those sits in between flights. And those, believe it or not, are actually more exhausting. To sit there and wait at the airport for 3 hours for your next flight, well, that's a sit, and those are very exhausting. Oh yeah, listen to those flaps coming out. But if you get behind, Jeremy, then yeah, you could be running, if you got 3 or 4 legs in a day and you're behind and you're only, you know, sometimes they may even schedule, you know, a 10-minute turn, even though it's not possible. That just means, hey, as soon as you land, kick the people off and get ready to board, because you need to make up some time. Those are the days that are very long and are often the ones you really got to be careful that you don't make a silly mistake and get in trouble. Alright, so let's go ahead and do an after start checklist. Engine and ice, that is off. Yellow electric pump is off. Rudder trim 0. After start checklist complete. Alright, so I'm not bringing up my chart over here because, you know, I'm using my real knee board, my real iPad, and I'm trying to make sure I stay up, you know, fresh with taxiing and stuff. So let's go ahead and we're going to taxi 10 left Delta Delta. Brakes released. Here we go. That sounds awesome. You can hear the APU spooling down there in the background. That was cool. The 100th Airbus. Kind of clipped into the engine there. Oh, that's cool. Alright, so we're going to come out here. We're going to take a right, make our way to 10 left. But you know what I want to do here? I want to change real quick, guys. Bear with me. My joystick. I want to do rudder pedals. Yaw response curve. We need to fix this. This one got all whacked up. Done. Alright, here we go. Let's see how that is now. I don't know why that... I have a different profile. There we go. I'm working on... Since I got my honeycomb, I've been working on getting all profiles set up for individual airplanes. And I just haven't... I guess I haven't done the 320 yet. Vertical Sim in the house. How's it going, man? I'm doing just fine. How are you doing? Man, I love this taxiway texture out here. It's really nice. The tires, marks, and everything. Alright, let's get in here. Hold your position over there, Mr. Van. Alright, so we are on Alpha. So I'm going to pull up my taxi charts. It would be something similar to 10 left Delta Delta via Alpha, Alpha 15, November, something like that. So we're going to do that. We're going to go Alpha, Alpha 15, November to 10 left Delta Delta. Here is Alpha right now. Rose Jackson says, V1, thank you, and I've wondered why do pilots and FA do retrain every 6 months and not once a year? Rose, so for pilots, it's I think this could be company dependent, depending on what type of recurrent training system you have. You know, there's the AQP program, there is just the standard recurrent program. Now, it varies because you can do recurrent training as a pilot anywhere from, I want to say there's like a 9-month recurrent if you're in AQP. If you're in standard, it's 12 months for a first officer and every 6 months for a captain. So it varies a little bit depending on the airline that you work for and if you're AQP or not, and if you're a captain or a first officer. So, but it's you know, it's good to get back in the sim. They do it to, honestly, it's just to prepare yourself for emergencies. When you're back in there in the recurrent sim, you don't just get in there and do a normal flight A to B. You're in there and you're doing engine failures, you're doing engine fires, you're doing all the stuff that you haven't seen, hopefully, in real life anyway, to keep you proficient on that stuff. If you know, after a year, it's a long time to try to remember how to do something. All right, here's Alpha. HD Sim. He says traveling to KDFW from Tampa in your neck of the woods via American. Hopefully it'll be on the 320. Awesome, man. Make sure you post some pictures up in the Discord. Here's Alpha 15. We're going to make a left turn here on Alpha 15. And then a right on November, which is the outer. So this is Bravo. We need to cross over to November and then make a right turn. I don't need no cheaty position. Let's see here. Although I'd love to have it. Gotta do it the old school way. Then a right turn on November, and we're gonna go 10 left at double D's, baby. 10 left Delta Delta. Intersection departure. Ooh, Fixture Jake and Romulus talking of honeycomb. Romulus, you just got yours just this minute, huh? Nice, dude. Well, you're gonna have to fire up a Boeing or maybe the TBM. What if I told you I was flying this flight with my honeycomb? Would you guys be upset with me? Ooh, yeah. Daniel Smith, how's it going, man? He says, I've just got back, went out today flying the 737-800 from Prague to Manchester. Nice. I'm going to change the screenshot section in the Discord to the Daniel Smith section because he posts more screenshots than anybody I know. The Nimbus green patches. So, Dimitri, believe it or not, these green patches out here are actually real. Okay, well, this one is, I think, a bad representation of grass, but Chicago has been undergoing construction on these little intersections, and they removed the grass and dirt and painted it green. And I don't know if they put down like a fake turf there or something, but it looks kind of funny in real life as well, so I think that is what he's trying to emulate. This runway is not here anymore, I believe, right? I think that runway is closed because we're on November, yeah. Or at least it's been shortened, so. Andre Bodancy says, crazy O'Hare taxi instructions. It sure is, man. And the craziest thing about it is there is no readbacks. It's, you know, you get a taxi instruction for 5 different airplanes and be like, you know, American, United, Southwest, Spirit, taxi via 10 left, Delta, 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 Alpha, Alpha 15, November, hold short of Alpha 12 or something. And then he just moves on to the next guy. And it's just, you basically, the one rule in Chicago is you do not stop. Whatever you do, just don't stop, keep moving. If you miss your taxiway, they're going to yell at you, but they want you to keep moving because there's so much flow going around the airport that you can really jam things up. Lauren Jackson says, how you been? It's been a hot minute. Hope you're well. How long you been a pilot for? Me, I've been a flight attendant for 8 years, December 4th. Awesome, Lauren. See, I've been flying commercially in the airlines now for about 10 years. I have more time flying freight, and I flew corporate jets for a while. So, but as far as being in the airline, just about 10 years now. So, all right, here's 10 left at Delta Delta. I'm going to go ahead and make a stop here. I didn't do any of my taxi checks, so I'm going to just hold short, and we'll do our taxi checklist here. I got too busy looking at the airplane, so we're going to just pull up here. That shouldn't be there in the taxiway, but we'll go ahead and stop you there. Brake set, verify the pressure. There it is. All right, let's go ahead and do a flight control check. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, and neutral, rudder, full left, full right, and a neutral. Auto brakes max, takeoff config. That can come on, that's not working. TARA, make a little PA, flight attendants please prepare for takeoff. We'll go ahead and hit our calls button up here. And then we have to come to the flight attendant panel and make their cabin ready. And let's go ahead and run a before takeoff checklist to the line. Before takeoff checklist to the line. Gross weight comparison is complete. Pitch trim. What did I say? 0.5% CG up. Let me 0.5% CG set. V1, VR, V2 flex. We got 37, 43, 49 no flex set. Flaps, they are config 1+F. Flight instruments, checked. We got one FD2, climb nav blue. Flight controls check, ECAM memo, takeoff, all green. ECAM status check, PWS is on, TCAS code set, TRA, cabin crew advised, mini brief is complete. And below the line, we got runway 10 left, Delta confirmed. Fuel for takeoff, 7.5 required, 7.6 on board. Engine mode selector is normal. Bleeds and packs are set before takeoff checklist is complete. Let's light it up and get out of here, guys. Cinematic lineup. Alright guys, we are getting ready to give this a full send. Man, that looks good. I love Airbuses. Alright, that was a terrible light up from outside. Let me go ahead and get these properly sized for your viewing pleasure. And let's do it. Nose forward on the stick. Spool them up 50%. And send it. Here we go. Yoga. Mantoga. SRS runway. Auto thrust blue. Wow, that's loud. I might have to turn that down. 8 knots, thrust set. Neutral by 100. V1. Rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. We're navving. 400 feet visual conditions. Select heading. Go away. Nobody uses you since like 1964. .9 climbing 5. JetBlue 1. What are we? JetBlue 153. Proceed direct to Gulf India Juliet. Climb maintain 8,000. 8,000 direct Gulf India Juliet. Lever climb. We're navving, thrust climb, auto thrust. I don't know why she didn't manage up there. Oh yeah. I'm gonna go autopilot 1 because we're gonna need to do some stuff here. Let's go and get our ice on. We are definitely entering the icing conditions. That's pretty sweet, man. Look at the clouds, going into the clouds. I love that. How are we looking? Let's watch the auto retract happen. There they go. And we can go ahead and retract our slats as well. Juicy. That is straight juice. JetBlue 153, climb maintain 240, contact departure. We'll see ya. Boom. So we're off. We're gonna climb. We're gonna just climb it all the way up to 350. That's our final for today. Speeding up to 250 knots. What's our distance? We are 7.6. We are above 5.8, so we definitely cleared those. I should have paid more attention to the that second DME arc. 8.5 out above 4, but we're definitely, you know, here it is. Here's the second arc, but we're definitely above that. So we cleared that no problem with the toga takeoff. Man, it is pretty cloudy in here. Q8 pilot in the house. The man, the myth, the legend himself. He needs no introduction, guys. Q8, glad to have you here, man. He just dropped a $50 bomb, a donation on the channel. Thank you, Q8. Really appreciate that, my good friend. Really enjoyed your Embraer 110 video you did the other day. I took that puppy out and flew it around for a little bit. I'm actually probably going to do maybe a stream here or just a video of it myself, just because you re-sparked my love for that airplane in that video you did. So Q8, thank you so much, man. Glad to have you here, bud. I look forward to getting a very good multi-crew system out here for X-Plane and being able to do some multi-crew with you. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Without you, I wouldn't be on the X-Plane platform, so thank you so much, my friend. 9.7, climbing 10,000. Let's go ahead and get our lights off. We are out of the icing conditions. We go ahead and turn those puppies off. Let's do a flyby view. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, I missed a lot of chat there, but apologize for that. Just want to get us off the ground, get us airborne. Lauren Jackson says, V1 Sim, do you remember your first rejected takeoff? Heck yes, I do, because I was pinned with my head between my legs with the amount of RTO. I do. We was going at least 120 knots and the brakes came on and I screamed. I looked like a noob first time out. Lauren Jackson, yeah, that's funny. I definitely remember my first RTO in an airliner. My first RTO in an airliner was an Embraer 190. Or it might have been was it a 175? Either were 175, 190. And we had an RTO coming out of Canada. And I'll tell you what, man. I am a believer in max brakes on that airplane. You really don't have to worry about stopping anywhere. Same thing with the Airbus too, but I was in the right seat, and we had, I think it was a thrust lever angle malfunction, and essentially it required for a reject, and we were doing about we were over 80 knots. I think we're probably about 110 knots or so. Auto brakes came on, and I'm over there trying to call the speeds and the reversers, but the amount of G's that were imparted on me with the harness and everything, definitely won't forget that one. All right, we're accelerating to 340. That's a little bit fast. Let's go ahead and, we'll never get there if we climb out of 340. Let's do 310 indicated. You can see I brought the speed back. We're going to increase our climb rate here. Alright, things are looking good, guys. Things are looking good. Looks like we're above most of the weather, so I'm going to save some radiation. I might want to have a second kid, so let's go ahead and turn the radiation off for now. We're above most of it. Let's park ourselves over here on this beautiful wing view. Toilet paper says, ice winter is coming. Yes, it sure is, man. My buddy just sent me a picture. I think it's from Denver. Let me see if he responded. We play Guess the Airport all the time. Yeah, he posted it. He sent me a picture this morning in Denver. Snow everywhere. He said it's 14 degrees outside and they cooked the brakes. They had hot brakes because of the landing. I'm assuming he's talking about the first officer's landing was not too good. It's like super smooth landing and we have hot brakes and it's 14 degrees outside. So winter is here. Q8 Pilot says, most welcome, Captain. I love the channel. Thank you, Q8. Glad you enjoyed it. Toilet paper says, does a Flight Factor 320 simulate icing? You know, I'm not 100% sure. Do you mean visibly? I don't believe it simulates it visibly, but it will, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe one of you guys can confirm or deny this. I think if you are in icing conditions and you don't have any anti-ice on, you will see some airs start to form. But to be honest with you, man, every time I'm in icing conditions, I just do what I would do in the real airplane, so I don't allow any ice to accrue on the airplane. So I can't confirm with 100% certainty that it is modeled. Maybe somebody in the chat can help you out. Looks like we're breaking out of those clouds. That's nice. Ooh, that's a good view. Let's go back over here. As we go over the lake. Quentin Johnson says, hi there, everyone. I just did my first XP flight in a long time. Due to computer issues. Oh, in a long time due to computer issues. Flew Boston to Syracuse, New York. Awesome, man. That's a nice little regional hop. I haven't been to Syracuse in a long time, but I do remember going to Dinosaur Barbecue there in Syracuse. That was one of our crew hotspots, was going to Dinosaur Barbecue if you flew into Syracuse, New York. Cedric Yale, he's got a good Airbus question. He says, what does the outer tank fuel transferred mean? That means you better be landing soon, Cedric. But in all seriousness, the outer tank fuel transfer, let's go ahead and, I'm sorry, there we go. That's the view I wanted. So we look at our lower ECAM here. Outer tank fuel right here, 690 kilos. Basically what happens is once your tank, your wing tanks get below, oh my goodness, I need to know this in pounds, 1150 pounds? I don't know what it is in kilograms, and I should know. It's a limitation that I have to know. I have training next month. I want to say it's 1,100 something pounds per wing tank. These outer tanks will open their valves right here. They'll be indicated here by a little triangle. And I need a set standard. We are set standard. Why can't I set standard? Okay. I don't know why I can't set standard right now. Anyway, alright. What was I saying? So yes, once you're below a certain amount in your wing tanks, these valves will open up, the fuel will transfer into the wing tanks. Generally speaking, it means you have about 45 to 50, maybe more depending on, what airplane you're in and engines and stuff. Generally it's about 45 minutes to an hour of fuel remaining when you see that outer tank transferred. And once those valves open and the fuel is transferred, there is no way to close these valves from the cockpit. It's only done on the ground during the next refuel sequence. So when you're on the ground and you're getting fuel from the fueler, the Airbus will close the outer tank valves and then it will go from there. Now you can have errors where those valves can get stuck and then you have write-ups and procedures and stuff. Now the reason that the Airbus, I just had this discussion on my last flight when we were flying back home, we were talking about the fuel burn process on the Airbus. But essentially what happens is it's for weight, I don't want to say weight, just for lift distribution. So the reason that we always burn from the center tank first is you don't want to have all this fuel, you don't want to have a full center tank and nothing out here to balance the wings. Because imagine, you know how the Dreamliner, when it takes off, you see those wings that really start to curve up? All right, so the weight in the tanks helps balance that out. And it's like, that's a significant amount of weight out there in your wingtips. It's like having a small VW bug out there to help balance the pivot points or right there on the fuselage where the wings attach. So there are limitations to how much fuel you can have in the center tank. And I've had it one time where something got messed up. The fueler he had the wrong fuel load. And the way the Airbus fuels up on the ground, I'm sure you guys, I know I have a couple of ground crew guys here in the chat, but essentially, he was going to give us way more gas than we needed. It was the wrong airplane. So he set the number for the refuel, and the Airbus logic started to fill the center tank because it was going to fill the center tank first, and then it was going to fill the wing tanks. But then he realized his mistake halfway through, and he stopped the fueling process short. But what happened was now we had all this fuel in the center tank and nothing in the wing tanks. And you can't take off like that because now you're going to have nothing to counterbalance all that weight there in the center, and your wings are going to be out there with nothing in them. So that's kind of the reason why you burn from the centers, and then the wing tanks will burn, and then at the very end we'll go ahead and release the wingtip outer tank tanks. So now there's a lot of different variations to fuel systems on the Airbus. From 320, you can have one 320, you can have 3 or 4 different fuel configurations. This one actually has center tank pumps. You can have the 319s have something a little bit different. There's some airplanes now that we're getting that don't even have this outer tank, I believe. It's just one wing tank. So there's, and then you can have 321s with extended tanks and all that stuff. So there's a lot of different configurations for the fuel system, but I know that was a really lengthy explanation of what does outer tank fuel transferred means, but I hope that kind of answers your question. It essentially means you're about 45 to an hour of fuel remaining, and that your outer tank fuel has been transferred to the wing tanks, and it's only going to be replaced when you refuel on the ground. So, hope that answers your question, man. I know that was just kind of went off on a tangent there, but I'm trying to also refresh myself. I've really got to hit the books this next couple of weeks before I go back to the simulator and do some training. Romulus says, did you see my screenshot of Denver last night? It was snowing good when I landed there. Yeah, Romulus, I did. Jonathan says, I'm pretty sure I've had my 320 drop dead on me due to ice when I went away from the computer for a bit. There you go. XX Gamer says, do you like the rain effect windshields on the Flight Factor 320? Hold on, I'm going to turn my game now. I feel like my... Actually, you know what? Let's go Sound 3D. I feel like the wind noise... Nope. There we go. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. It was in my headphones. It was extremely loud. I don't know if it was loud for you guys. Let's go ahead and turn the seatbelts off. Going to be a smooth ride. Why am I in QFE now? I want Q and H, and I want standard. There we go. All right. We're standard set. We're good. All right. Now I can get back to what we were talking about. Let's go ahead and remanage the speed. So the rain effect, I haven't really flown in a lot of rain with it in the Flight Factor, but the one thing that does bother me is when you're moving, and I think it's a sim limitation probably, but when you're doing 200 knots and you're coming in on approach or you're descending or you're in the rain, you don't even need wipers because nothing is really sticking to the windshield. And I shouldn't say sticking, but the amount of airflow that's going over the windshield, it really keeps the windshield pretty clean. Now, when you're down at VREF and you're getting ready to land, then yeah, we'll go ahead and kick the wipers on. Typically, I'll tell the guy next to me, it's like, hey, let me know when you want the wipers. Come out 1,000 feet or so, let's go wipers on. And, I mean, they're pretty, they're not super effective. It only clears a small little hole here. What I like better, to be honest with you guys, is the rain repellent. Unfortunately, it's in op, but what it does, it's basically Rain-X. Essentially, it's kind of a greasy material that sprays onto the windshield, and it will spray out from, let's see if it's modeled here. Yeah, these little dogs right here, little water dogs, that's what we call them. Or is it these over here? No, that's part of the windshield wiper. I'm pretty sure that's trying to be a water dog, and that's what I call them anyway. But it shoots out some Rain-X material, for lack of better words, and it kind of coats the windshield, and it really helps with beading, and it keeps the water. I think it's almost better than using the wipers, especially if it's a misty type rain. I think it works pretty darn good. And the rain repellent is stored, fun fact for you guys, right here. So this is the rain repellent reservoir. And if you start to smell pine needles in the cockpit, that means you have extremely toxic fumes leaking in, and they say that it is somehow the rain repellent is leaking into the cockpit or into the ventilation system. So if you smell pine needles and you're flying around at cruise, that's not good. But yeah, for the most part, on the ground, I think it's pretty cool. You know, you see the raindrops pooling on the windshield. So for ground ops and everything, I think it's pretty sweet. But yeah, moving at high speeds, it's not very realistic. But I don't know if that's a sim limitation versus, you know, just something that Flight Factor has modeled. All right, we'll get back to some of the comments here. Nightbox deleting Captain Reynolds. Uh-oh. All right. Yeah, Dougal says Nightbot will get you every time. Sure will, man. I may get rid of Nightbot. Ooh, not really any very good ortho right there. Apologize. This is kind of the north side towards Canada. Andre Boeings, Andre says, V1, there are many of your colleagues. Are there many of your colleagues? Do you like sims nowadays? There's a few that like flying in-flight simulation. Matter of fact, one of the pilots at my old regional was one of the developers for the Embraer series in FSX, or at least he worked with them to create the Embraer 175s for the FSX platform. But yeah, my good buddy that texted me in Denver, he's a big sim guy. He's really on P3D though right now. He's a huge P3D fan. Dale Smith, I'm sorry, but since daylight savings time really has a record of screwing me up, anyone that's essentially your opinion, is it 651 or 551? I don't know, man. I did see your comment earlier, Daniel Smith. You were saying about your flying the Airbus all week. Yes, I am very proud of you, man. You did a great job. Lauren Jackson says, V1, I was on a 777 first time when the reject happened. Pilot said something about master warning came on, and we got off the plane. You could see the brakes sort of going. Oh yeah, I can only imagine a 777 reject. You would definitely heat those brakes up. But yeah, that's something you got to pay attention to on a reject, is your brake temps. That's typically your first caution after the reject, and you've slowed down, clear the runway. You may get super hot brakes. You may actually have to call the fire trucks out to escort you back to the gate or take a look at your brakes. There was one incident, I think it was a CRJ. I can't remember. I'll have to look up the information, but there was almost a collision, and I want to say it was a CRJ. They slammed on the brakes to the point where it got so hot that it just blew the fuse plugs in the tires, and they got flat tires after. But I mean, hey, flat tires after versus colliding with another airplane, that's a big. I'd definitely take that. So yeah, reject takeoffs are no joke, guys, especially at high speed. That's where you get that 80 knot call out from. So the whole point of the 80 knots is to signal to the captain that, okay, if you reject now beyond this point, it's a high speed abort. So typically I'll brief the guy I'm flying with. I'll say, anything below 80 knots is considered a low speed abort or low speed reject. And you have different criteria of what you're going to reject for. So a master caution below 80 knots, you'll probably reject for, depending on what it is. You at least know that you have some time to think when you're below 80 knots. Once the pilot monitoring yells out 80 knots, that means, okay, I'm only going to reject for engine fire failure or something red. If I get a red warning up here after V1, or I'm sorry, before V1 and after 80 knots, that's a high-speed reject, and you better hang on to your butts, because we're going to be getting some serious brake action, especially in the Airbus. I have done a reject in the simulator on the Airbus. I'm trying to think if I've done a reject. I've done a low-speed abort, so that doesn't really count. I've done a low-speed abort in the Airbus, which is not that big of a deal below 80 knots. I'm trying to remember, I don't think I've done any high-speed aborts in the Airbus yet, knock on wood. But, I mean, even the brakes on the Airbus, guys, we rarely use medium. I mean, this plane will stop. So I can only imagine what Max does. In the sim, it's, when you do a reject in the sim with Max, your high-speed reject just before V1, you train for it. And the hardest part is maintaining directional control, because the brakes are so aggressive and there's so many G-forces on you while you're slowing down that you have to really balance out your pedal movement and try to keep the airplane centered on the runway. All right, let's go ahead and shorten our route up just a little bit here. Let's go ahead and request a direct to Johnstown. Boom. You can turn off the cabin fan on the blower overhead panel. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that in flight, but yeah, you definitely can. I don't think it will in flight. yeah, we could shut the blower off. It goes into a different configuration, but yeah, wouldn't want to do that for too long. Want to keep your avionics bay nice and cool. Although, in flight, it's going to be in the closed configuration anyway, so we can go ahead and look at our... What am I looking for? Bleed? What am I looking for? Bleed? Nope. There we go. So we are in the closed configuration here. This is our inlet, our outlet, and then our safety relief. Now you can actually manually open this, so I'll show you guys. So here is the outflow. It's going to be hard to see here. So it's this door. Oh wow, it's a little bit different on this livery. Is it this one? I think it's this one right here. So hold on, let me get a different camera view. Alright, so it's hard to tell, and it's very loud out here, but this is your outflow, and then there's an intermediate flap right here that we can open up from the cockpit. So if we go up here and you put it into the smoke configuration, so we're going to override both of those. Now you can see the outlet is in the amber position, or the intermediate. That is a smoke configuration. So now when we look at our door, you can see it's trying to be modeled open right here. You see this little flap? That's signaling that it's open. You know, it's kind of weird, and then we'll go ahead and close it. And now it's closed. So, little fun fact there. You do that if the other guy, you know, farts or something, and you need to open up the extract there. Get some fresh air. All right, we are struggling to climb out here. Let's go 7-8. Let's get the top of climb before we get to Johnstown. Lauren Jackson says, V1, can the brakes set fire to the plane if they're hot enough? Absolutely. And why do planes' tires have fuse plugs? So, yeah, they can definitely... when you say set fire to the plane, I mean, it's a possibility, but essentially, hopefully they won't. I mean, you might catch... If the fuse... So the fuse plug will blow the tires if they get heated up to a certain point. Essentially, it's to prevent catastrophic failure of the tire. So it's a design structural failure of the tire to prevent a catastrophic blowout, and you know that could cause damage. If you what was it, the Concorde that hit a piece of rubber or hit something, and then it hit the tire and it cut the tire, and the tire blew off catastrophically, right, and damaged the wing tank. So essentially, it's kind of doing the same thing with brakes. It's if you put so much stress and heat on the tires that it's a designed failure mechanism to prevent a structural blowout, or a catastrophic blowout, I should say. And yes, it could catch fire. I mean, you've got your hydraulic lines and everything running down there. Hopefully it won't, but generally, yeah, if you do a reject takeoff, the fire crew, and you have the fire crew come out, they'll take a look at your tires, and they may spray them with some foam or something just to be safe. I know we have limitations. If your brakes are above a certain temperature, we can't fuel. You don't want to do any refueling, because if there was an accident or something and it got close to the possibility of creating a fire, it's a fire hazard. So it is possible. I don't know if it's happened or not, but definitely don't want to find out. Daniel Smith says, I'm about to land at Manchester Stereo Cockpit. Gotta mute the stream for a second. Let me get caught up here. Let's see. I've been chatting. We are 4:35. We're going to go ahead and... So this is doing that thing again. I don't know what Flight Factor has got going on here, but there's a lot of stuff that's been happening lately in the box. So it's giving me 2 Johnstowns. And apparently there's a discontinuity in there, but there's not, because you can see it's clearly connected. So... what if I just go direct to MyRoy? How about that? Will that fix everything? Yeah, we're just going to go direct to MyRoy. So there's still some funky stuff happening here in the box. I'm really hoping that told us 1.4 update will come out sooner than later and really clean up their MCDU, because between that and then that toeless BSS sound pack, I can park the flight factor for a while. I don't know, a lot of you guys that are that are experiencing heavy issues on frame rates too would be looking forward to that, because the toeless definitely runs smoother on your system. Alright, drag, load, high fall all the way out there. That's a manual disco, that's for the approach, so we're going to leave that there. And I'm just going to pull up my A-Car's weather real quick here, see what they're landing in Philly. I know we still got a little bit of time, but I want to set up ahead of time here. Philadelphia. What do we got? It is 080 at 4. Ooh. So we can either land 9 right, or we can land with a tailwind. We'll go ahead and we'll set up for 9 right. So let's change the transition. John Cedino says, "Hey Cap, what have I missed?" Not too much, man. We are happily here in cruise. Do a little flyby view here for you. I know we're going to get back into some ortho here shortly. We're just over some gross non-ortho area, but nice little crosswind there. Lauren Jackson, subscriber to the channel. Welcome, ma'am. Glad to have you here. Glad you're enjoying the content. Alright, so let's go ahead and, what was I going to do? I was going to change the transition. Yes. Dimitri says, let's get those likes up to par, folks. Appreciate it, Dimitri, man. And doing work out there. Appreciate it, my friend. Have I updated my air rack? No, I'm out of date for a month. But that's not an air rack problem. That's something else problem. It shouldn't be doubling Johnstowns and then writing discos, even though there is no disco in the box. So, I mean, it could be an air rack problem. I doubt it, though. Cedric says, V1, why does Airbus not have a yaw damper switch on like most Boeing aircrafts? And what is a yaw damper? So it does have a yaw damper. It's just not called a yaw damper. And it's automatic. It's controlled through the, oh boy, you're testing my knowledge here, and I need to know this for recurrent. I believe it's the FAC, right? Flight augmentation, and we can check that. Here, we'll go off on a little tangent here again. Flight control page. Okay, so your yaw damper essentially is indicated right here by these two little green brackets. That means if I were to manually press on the rudder, oh crap. That was a weird noise. It won't deflect, even though I'm hard over. Look at the airplane working hard to keep the airplane level. That's a little extreme, but you can't move the rudder past this point here. It's a rudder limiting system. And that kind of plays into the yaw dampening as well. It's the same computer, the flight control computer, that's running with the rudder. Now, I want to say it's the FAC, or the flight augmentation computer, the FACs, that are going to be controlling the rudder. Now, I could very well be wrong on that. I'll look that up here for you in a second, because I need to know what each computer does before I go back to training. But I believe it's the FACs that have the majority of the work for rudder augmentation. And what a yaw damper does is, in a traditional aircraft, it's going to prevent excess, I'm trying to put it in a layman's terms for you, basically excess yaw, and to reduce oscillations in flight, such as Dutch roll and things like that. So it's definitely a very handy system, and in the Airbus it is there. It's just highly automated, and it's in the flight control computers that are that will automatically take over and apply all that stuff while you're flying. So you don't have an actual switch for it, but it is there, and it can be isolated by shutting off one of the flight control computers if you were to have a yaw damper problem or a yaw damper fail or something like that. All right. Now, I was going to do something. I'm actually, before I change the transition, give me a second. I'm going to pull this up because, you know what, I don't have my, just give me a second. I'm going to pull up the flight control computer. So coming up here, we've got our ELAX, our SEX, FAC1, FAC2, and the rest of our flight control computers here. So if I go to, just give me a second, I'm trying to look it up. Nope, I don't want that. I don't want, here we go, I want this one. Systems review, and I want to look at flap slats. Nope. THS flight controls. I can't find it for you right now, but I will get back to you on that. It's on my other iPad right now. I want to say it is the FACS flight augmentation computer. That's my final answer for $100. All right, enough of that. Let's go ahead and change the transition. So if you guys watched my last video about when I was flying the TOLUS and I had a runway change and the transition did not update. So in the real airplane it will, and I believe in the flight factor it will. So let's go ahead and test it. So you can see here we're coming down from Skoll, Bojid, all the way out to Ferris, and basically that puts us on a downwind leg for the ILS to 27 right. I'm going to switch the runway to 9er right, and what that's going to do is it's going to flip the runway here, and it should populate the transitions to come out this direction. So let's see if this is modeled. So we're going to do ILS 9er right. Oh, we're going to do Zulu or Victor. Let me look at the weather one more time. I believe ILS 9er right, Zulu. Right, we can do the ILS of Victor. The Victor is a converging ILS, basically changes your missed approach, and the weather is significant enough for us to do they're going to probably be doing converging ops there in real life. So we're going to do ILS 9er right of Victor, which is right here. Boom, and look, you see how it populates the transition? This is correct. And this is what I assumed, unfortunately, when I was flying the TOLUS and I didn't verify it, and the airplane went off and flew the wrong transition. That's how I got violated on Pilot Edge. But that is why, and you got to make sure that that is changing on you. So now we've got Trag, Bunt, Skoll, and now we make a right turn, and that's going to take us on essentially a left downwind for runway 9 right. And then we have the disco here, which I said before, you want to keep this disco because this is essentially what it's saying here is that after you pass waypoint, the air traffic control is going to vector you. There is no lateral navigation to go to the approach. Now on some approaches there are, you might have transitions, you may have a approach via from the runway approach chart. So from the approach chart, it will transition you from the start. This one in particular does not. We're going to fly it as a vector. We'll vector ourselves to 9 right. So that looks good. That's in the box. And then our hold out there at Woodstown. So we've got our box updated. We're going to land 9 right. Perfect. I think we still got a little bit of time. I will probably run... Oops, I also created a disco there that I didn't want to create. So we're going to go ahead and reset that. Now we're looking good. Alright. Man, this flight control thing is really bothering me, and I know exactly where I can find it. I have to grab my study iPad. This sounds really bad, but I want to figure this out because I'm going to be asked in my oral exam here in a couple weeks. So give me 2 seconds, or maybe give me like 30 seconds. I'll be right back. I'll get to more of your questions, and we'll get right back to it. Alright, of course that iPad is dead, so it's charging right now, but I'll be able to give you, I'll list off all of the flight control surfaces for each computer. Alright, get back to some of the chat here. We're back in some lovely ortho. How good does that look? My goodness. Which view do you guys like? Do you prefer a little bit of engine? Or more wing? Ooh, I like that one right there. Lauren Jackson says, I see my mother, before she left flight attendant, she was on 777 that had a wing engine fire. The video's on YouTube somewhere. Oh man, that's crazy. Was it in Chicago by chance? I remember there was a engine fire in Chicago. Well, maybe that was a 7.6 though. But you said love your videos. I appreciate it, Lauren Jackson. Thanks again for your comments, and thanks for becoming a subscriber to the channel. Really appreciate it. Dimitri says the Tolus is Vulcan ready. Nice. That's going to definitely be a big help for a lot of you guys out there. I know that. Cedric Yao says, if you could change a plane, what would you fly? If I could change, I'd like to fly the 350, man. I think the 350 looks so cool. Just the way, I think Airbus, you know, as much as I love the Airbus, I'll be honest with you, I think Boeing has created some better looking airplanes. You know, you go back to the 747, of course, the 727, my favorite. Even, you know, the 757, I think that looks fantastic as well. So I definitely think Boeing has had the edge on looks, in my opinion. But the 350 is definitely one of the first airplanes that I really look at, and I'm like, wow, that is a juicy looking airplane. So if I could change, I'd probably fly the 350. However, I know those 350s can go a long way, so I don't know if I'd be too enthusiastic about doing some super long legs, but hey. A little bumpy, yeah, when I was moving those rudders, yeah. Phone Tank says, I just got home from work. Glad I can follow live. Hey, glad to have you here, man. Haven't missed much. We are just in cruise. We did a little bit of systems discussion. We are approaching our top of descent here. What I want to do is look at the star. I know there's some suspected altitudes, so let me put in the constraints real quick, and then we'll have a better idea of our top of descent. But we're going to expect bunts at 8,000. I used to know all these by memory because I was based here for almost 5 years. So bunts 8,000 and a descend insert. Bunts goal is expected at 6,000, so we're going to put 6,000 here at skull. Descent, insert, and skull has a speed limit as well, so we're going to do 220 slash. Format error, that's incorrect. It's perfectly correct. A real airplane would take it. 220, 6,000, there we go. We'll insert it manually like that. And then we branch off. There is no Bodil, this is where we make our right turn. And then Xpers is at 190, that's in there already. You can see that, and we can verify the speed constraint there, 190. And then way, the final fix is a hard altitude of expect 4,000, so we'll put that right there as well. All right, so now we've got our box updated a little bit. Let's take a look at our, got a little ways to top descent. So yeah, we're cruising along, just chilling out here. We'll do a little bit of some wing action. Yes. Kevin Simpson says the A330 on Flight 587 crashed in New York because of, yes, rudder hard over both directions. So that got rid of that for sure. Cedric Gale says, how do the flight control hydraulics come alive if the engines are off? For instance, if you have a dual engine failure. So good question, Cedric. The blue hydraulic system will be powered by the RAT, or the Ram Air Turbine. It will drop down and provide a limited, very limited hydraulic system. Now we can look at the overhead here, and you're asking me some good systems questions, man. Alright, so we need to look at the Emergen, and then where is the RAT man on? So here's RAT and Emergen. Oh, man on right here. So you can look at let's look at the hydraulic schematic. Man, we're digging deep into systems today. All right, so see this RAT right here? This is ram air turbine. If you have a dual engine failure, the ram air turbine, is going to deploy from the belly of the airplane, and essentially it has like a little 172 propeller on there, flows into the slipstream, it spins around, and it will create a limited hydraulic pressure to the blue system. Now, if we go to the flight control page, guess what every flight control surface is powered by? Blue, 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 blue. Everything except pitch trim, essentially. So with a dual engine failure, and your RAT is deployed with blue hydraulic power, you are able to move the aileron left, aileron right. You're able to move some of the speed brakes. You're able to move the elevator. You're able to move the right elevator, and you're able to move the rudder. So you can see the redundancy and the layout of how they have all the hydraulic systems labeled here is so that if you have a failure of any combination of failures, you will still be able to control the flight controls in some degree. Doesn't matter which way you fail the hydraulic systems. As long as you have one of them powered, you will be able to manipulate the flight controls. Now, that, like I said, there's some restrictions on that using the RAT. That's going to be like a very slow deployment of certain things, and it's a sluggish response and all that, because you don't have the pressure, of course, is running 2 engine hydraulic systems. But that RAT man push button there, that will go ahead and deploy, and it will give you hydraulic fluid, it will give you hydraulic pressure to manipulate the flight controls. Man, good question, Cedric. You guys are getting me. I feel like I'm in my oral right now. I haven't even studied yet. So let's get back out here. And I think my iPad is just about charged, at least enough to turn it on. No, it's not. Dang it. All right. Good stuff, Cedric. Throw me another one. Daniel Smith says he put it on 202 in Manchester. All right. That's pretty good. I'd be happy with the 200. Dimitri says, V1, I always thought yaw is calculated by the ADIR's fly-by-wire lateral accelerometers. So, yes, and now, well, yaw by the ADIR's, I think we might be talking about different things. So, no, I would not agree with that statement necessarily, Dimitri. I think I'm having a hard time. I understand that the ADIR's fly-by-wire lateral accelerometers. No, you do get acceleration rates as we fly into some ortho here. You do get acceleration and deceleration rates from the IRs, the IR part of the ADIRs. So the ADIRS is actually 2 systems. There's the ADs and then you have the IRs. Now the IRs, yes, they will provide acceleration, deceleration, angular rates, and things like that. But as far as rudder movement and the control of the flight control surface on the tail, that is going to be controlled by the flight control computer. Daniel Smith says, do you think the 737 looks better than the 320? It depends which 737 and which 320. I think the 321 with sharklets looks just as good as any 737. I think the 737 classics are pretty cool. I like that short, stubby look. I don't like the 737-800 look very well at all. The 900 is meh. But if I had to pick an NG, I would say the 737-700. It kind of looks like a little hot rod. I like that short, stubby look. I think the 321 with sharklets, though, is pretty darn good looking myself. From this, according to Google, yaw dampening turd core and 2 yaw damper servo actuators are controlled by the FAC to provide a smooth ride on the axis. Hey, that was my final answer, right? So it was the facts. My iPad is still powering. It's really dead. Quentin Johnson says, do you ever want to be a long-haul pilot? Quentin Johnson, I don't know about ever. Right now, no, man. I'm happy where I'm at right now. I'm able to have some control over my schedule and stuff. So I wouldn't say never, but it's not really on the radar for me right now. I enjoy being home, and I want to have a big family and stuff. So we got, our one kid now, and hopefully we'll have more to come. So I enjoy being home as much as I can right now. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with long haul. It's just personally not my preference right now. Have I ever considered to install the IAE 2500 mod? Yes, I did, and I installed it a long time ago. I think it was, they had like, what, maybe 2 liveries. It was JetBlue and Spirit that you could put the IAE mod on, and I thought it was alright, but I had, after the updates, because then Flight Factor came out with the new 3D model, was that right? And then I think that changed up some stuff and I got bugs, but I did put it on once and it's alright. I might look into it again, just because I would love to be staring at an IAE engine right now as opposed to the CFM, but hey. Jablino59, he says, salute V1. Late to the stream today. Nice scenery. Thank you, sir. Came just in time to see some good scenery. We went over a little dead zone there as we got up north of almost north of the border there, just almost close to Canada. But we're back down into some nice ortho. Is the PT modeled on this plane? Yes, it is, John. Right, and Dimitri, you pull up a point. It doesn't come with the PBR. It does look a little meh, and the sounds, of course, aren't IAE engines. But I plan to fly the Tolus with IAE engines in the CFM sound pack. So, I mean, hey, beggars can't be choosers, right? Redux says, is the APU not providing any hydraulic pressure? No. It does not. Well, let me see. Does the APU? No. The APU will provide electrical power to the PTU, but I don't think it's going... it'll provide electrical power to move the flight control computers, which will move the hydraulics, but the APU and hydraulics are separate. There is no correlation there. So yeah, you either have, and you could tell right here, that the only way to move hydraulic fluid on this airplane is depicted right here. You have an engine-driven pump here with the circle, engine-driven pump here, electrical pump here, electrical and electrical. So that's the only way to move hydraulic fluid on the airplane. Now, if you have electrics via the APU, then you might be able to move the pumps and move the fluid. But the APU, as far as providing pressure to the systems, no. Ting Sung, I'll be doing my commercial oral next week. Wow, that's exciting, man. Best of luck to you, sir. Well, that's cool with the mountains down there. That is nice. Look at that with the mountain valley down there. Oh my goodness, that looks great. Romulus says, doesn't the RAT will also deploy automatically too? Yes, it does. It will deploy automatically when you lose all AC power to the aircraft. So dual engine failure, no APU running, the RAT is going to pop out. You can also manually deploy the RAT if you needed to, but you wouldn't be doing that. And essentially, guys, if the RAT is out, you are in a very bad day. You're having a very bad day if the RAT is out. Alex Skinnia, hello. Tolus or Flight Factor more realistic? It's still the Flight Factor, just barely. I mean, they're so close, and when the Tolus pack comes out, the amount of little inconsistencies I'm finding in the Flight Factor MCDU now is almost adding up to the inconsistencies I see with the Tolus MCDU. So once the Tolus BSS sound pack drops, I mean, they're going to be pretty much the same across the board, I think. And then when Tolus releases their update for the FMGC, I think that it will be superior to the Flight Factor. That's my opinion. I hope it is anyway. We'll see. Only time will tell, but there are a lot of inconsistencies I'm finding with the Flight Factor MCDU now, and they weren't. I don't think they were there before. That's the weird thing. All right, iPad is charged. Let me. I don't have a long enough cable, so. But I'm going to answer these questions. I wanted to list off all the flight controls. Alright, so here we go. You guys ready to drop some knowledge on you? FAC 1, right here. FAC 1 controls normal roll, coordinating turns, and dampening a Dutch roll. Rudder trim, rudder travel limit, those are those two little angled brackets that we saw on the hydraulic page that prevent a full rudder deflection. And alternate yaw. So if the aircraft is in an alternate flight control law state, you are going to be using part of FAC 1 that will control alternate yaw. Now, let's go ahead and look over at FAC number 2, which is over here, Flight Augmentation Computer 2. That is normal roll. Same thing as before, as FAC 1. Rudder trim, rudder travel limit, and alternate yaw. So you have two FACs that do the same thing, essentially. And if you lose one, you still have all the same protections because you have FAC 2. They're redundant. Something that Boeing needs to learn about the Max. Redundancy. So those are the FACs. Let's go ahead and look at ELAC 1 and ELAC 2. ELAC 1 is the elevator aileron control computer. This one I know pretty much by heart. It's normal pitch and roll, alternate pitch, direct pitch and roll. So if you're having a very, very bad day and you're not in alternate law but you're in direct law, or you were in alternate law and you put the gear down and you've entered direct law, you're going to have direct pitch and roll from ELAC 1. Abnormal attitude law, that's something that's very often overlooked. There is actually another flight control law. So we have normal law, alternate law, direct law, and we also have abnormal attitude law, which is something that's not very well talked about, but that is controlled by the ELAC. Aileron drop or aileron droop. So when we extend the flaps and I say make sure you check for your droops. Let's see, let's go to the flight control page here. So when the flaps are extended on the ground and you see the aileron droop down to this tick mark here, that is a function of the ELACs. Also, acquisition of autopilot orders. So, and ELAC 2 does much of the same. And then we have 3 SECs, or the spoiler elevator control computers. And they control normal roll, speed brakes, autopilot, or alternate pitch, direct roll, abnormal attitude. So, I mean, I can go on for hours on this stuff with you guys, but I was correct with my first guess of the FACs controlling rudder travel limit, and alternate yaw is controlled by the FACs. So if you're speaking about the yaw damper, that's where you're going to be talking about. Let's have a look outside. This is really cool, guys. Look at that shot, huh? Wow. That is pretty sweet. With the mountain ranges there. Alright, I missed a lot of chat messages there, but had to drop the knowledge bomb. As a pilot, have you ever flown to the Dominican Republic? Yes, I have. Cedric here was coming up. What is the use of ATT aiders when no one uses it? Attitude mode? So... okay, so basically that will only provide heading and altitude, heading and attitude data, but you have to enter your heading via the ADIRs. That's a very complex question to ask. Very rare that you would be using ATT mode for anything other than the ECAM directed you to use it. But yeah, we can go down the rabbit hole with ATT mode. But essentially, just know that it's an attitude and heading only mode for the ADIRs. Surely all this learning is worth a little love. Hit that like button, guys. Thank you, Dougal. Appreciate it. Thank you for the subscriber there, Ryan Jackson. Let's get some... Dimitri's on the emojis. Let's get some positive rates out there for the subscribers to the channel. We had a couple of subscribers out there. I really got to be better about the emoji thing. And we still need more. We have room for, I think, 4 or 5 more emojis to add. So you guys got to drop some ideas for creating some more emojis. But positive rates out there definitely for the new subscribers to the channel today. And for the wonderful donations I got from all you guys. You guys are awesome. Lauren Jackson says at V1, the link I posted was the very plane my mother was on. She left a week after that. Not sure if I asked what inspired you to become a pilot. Wow, well, I'm glad she made it okay. My mom was a flight attendant on Pan Am as well. What inspired me to become a pilot? You know, I've answered it in the past a little bit too, and I think really the only good answer I have for you is it's just something that's always been in my blood. You know, I always wanted to be a pilot. My mom is a huge fan of aviation. She was, like I said, a flight attendant for Pan American for a little bit, very short time, right as they went out of business. My grandfather was, he loved aviation as well. He wanted to be a World War II combat pilot, and during training they found out his night vision was poor, or it was not acceptable, so he had very bad night vision, so he couldn't fly. But I mean, I guess it would stem from that, you know, it's just been in my blood. Ever since I was a kid, I used to build airports on the ground. I used to get all the toy airplanes I could, so it's just been something I've been passionate about ever since I was a little kid. Romulus says, are the computer switches on the opposite sides of the panel, so one accidental head hitting the other can't turn off both? Romulus, that's a great question. I don't know 100% why, but I'm going to say yes, because that is a great assumption. I've definitely smacked my head up there a couple times. I would also guess, you know, maybe so it's easier to reach for the captain or the first officer. It doesn't look like much in the sim, but that's quite a far reach, you know, from the captain's seat to reach all the way over above the first officer head and vice versa. So that could be a reason too. But yeah, it might be you got to space them out so you don't bonk your head on there and turn off all the redundant systems when you're going to use the lav. That's a great thing to pick out there. All right, I should probably start down. Oh yeah, we are way late. We are way late, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and set 8,000. Yeah, we definitely missed our... we definitely missed our descent. Here we go. Thrust idle, open descent. We'll try to catch up to it. We got to get some data in here. Sorry, guys. You guys got me talking about systems. I love systems. I could talk systems with you guys all day. So here we go. Let's plan some stuff out here for our arrival. Our QNH in Philadelphia. Let's go ahead and pull up my 8 cars again here. Let's pull up the latest and greatest from Philly. And I use that term, Philadelphia, as a term of endearment. Nobody take offense to that. We are going to have 3020. Nice high pressure day there. Temperature of 19. Oh, it's a nice day in Philly. Winds are 080 at 4 still. Landing on runway in 9er. Converging 9er right. The DA for us is 421. Next phase, that looks good. How's our fuel? We got 55 minutes extra time. Perfect. We'll go ahead and copy the active. We'll send for landing numbers. And one thing I want to do is I should have done this at a 10,000. I should have cleared out that RadNav page. And what I also want to do is I also want to put Philly 09er right in there, 92 miles. So yeah, we are definitely, how are we looking? We're 3,300 feet high and getting higher. So let's go ahead and get some speed brakes out there. And we'll go ahead and increase 7.9, really start down. All our restrictions are in there for the SID. We're going to go ahead and hit our LS push buttons here. Boom, boom. We'll do an auto brakes low. And let me do a quick approach brief for you. As we look at that, wow, that's a cool shot there as the airplane's turning. I mean, that's Pittsburgh down there, I think. Let's look. Oh no, Harrisburg. We're way past Pittsburgh. Harrisburg, PA. Cool. All right. Approach briefing. Listen up, folks. We're going to be doing the ILS 9er right of Victor converging into Philadelphia, char 11-3, effective 19 July. Localizer frequency is 109.3. Auto-tune that IPHL. Final approach course will be 087 degrees. This is right there on the PFD. Keeley, glide slope intercept is going to be 1,800 feet. We'll cross-check that. Our barrow altitude, 421. That is set. Touchdown elevation is 21 feet. Sector altitude, or the safe altitude around Woodstown VOR, is 2,600. If we have to go missed, we're going to make an immediate climbing right turn to 3,000 feet. This is why we're doing the converging. It's a different missed approach procedure because you don't want to fly into the converging landing traffic. So if we have to go miss, it's going to be an immediate climbing right turn to 3,000 feet direct to the Woodstown VOR and hold. Left turns, it's in the box and matches the approach plate. We've got Pappies on the right-hand side, ALSIF 2 approach lighting, landing on runway at 9 right. We've got 12,000 feet available for landing with plenty of room. We're going to long dry runway. We go auto brakes low. We're in an A320 this afternoon. We're going to go flaps full. Reverse as required, and it'll be a left-hand turnoff. We have one runway to cross. We make sure we won't cross that runway without clearance. And we're going to taxi to our gate. It's going to be over on the east side there, so it's a little bit of a taxi once we get on the ground. That's all I got. Any questions? No questions? Cool. All right, here we go. Back to it now. How are we looking? 580 feet. Oh, let's go ahead and transition. We'll catch up to it, though. I think we're going to catch up to it just fine. We're at a 20 thou. We're going to cross bunts at 8,000. Let's go ahead and let's go back to manage descent. Manage descent. We'll go ahead and retract the speed brakes. We're back on profile there. We'll go ahead and reduce speed now. Transition at 320 knots is fine. What do we have? 3020. The speed brake is in. Why are you barking at me? Alright, 3020. Set once, twice, and 3 times. Seatbelt sign is coming on. Focus on flight deck. Beginning our initial descent down into Philadelphia. Right now we're about 106 miles from the field. We should be touching down just about 20 minutes. Weather in Philly, it's a beautiful afternoon. 68 degrees, light winds, clear skies. Seatbelt sign will remain on for the duration of the flight. We do ask that you remain seated till the aircraft arrives safely at the gate. On behalf of this Dallas-based flight crew, we want to be the first to welcome you into Philadelphia. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival. All right, approach is set. So now let's go ahead and do our new checklist. So let me pull it up here. I think the checklist is very similar on the approach one. Yeah, so briefing's complete. ECAM status is checked. Seatbelts are on minimums. 421 set. Engine anti-ice 1 and 2, that is off. Altimeters 3020 set past the 17 checks. Approach checklist completed. All right, so we are finally caught up here now. We're descending down. We're going to cross bunts at 8,000. Let's go ahead and reduce speed to 300. Flyby time. All right. Beautiful. All right, I missed a lot of chat messages there. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Redox 1337 says when you're using open climb descent and when the normal one. Open climb and open descent, that's when you need to get down fast or climb fast, essentially. It's your max performance climb at a selected speed. Your managed speed, or your managed climb or managed descent, as if you're following a VNAV path. Rose Jackson says the plane I'm going to be trained for is an A320. Awesome, man. Really appreciate it. That's cool. I bet you're going to definitely be hearing some of these sounds here pretty soon. All the bells and everything. Romulus says, V1, not seeing you on my ADS-B receiver. Is your transponder on? Oh, wait, this is a sim. Yep, transponder's on, man. You're not on my ADS-B. That's great. Fonwa Ting says, can you one day do a video from the right-hand seat just to see the perspective of first officer? Yeah, man, absolutely. The only problem, you know what, we could do it in the tow list because they'd have that little, that seat switch. That's actually not a bad thing. I should do that. I should do a first officer seat. Man, this looks good though, coming in here, all the farmland. To be honest, it's not too far off, though. With all the browns here in the States, we're in that fall transition, so now all the trees are turning brown. A really colorful, really pretty time to fly, especially in the Northeast. Romulus says you're halfway between Philly and Baltimore. Nice, man. I feel like I live in Baltimore lately. I've been going into Baltimore almost every trip. Rose Jackson said the cabin is being prepared for landing. No specials. Calls needed assault normal back here. Awesome, Rose. Sounds good. When you start going to South Florida, you're going to be like, yeah, we got about 42 specials, and we need 76 wheelchairs. Easy Pilot says, hello, V1. What is takeoff shift, and how do I enter it correctly in the MCDU? Takeoff shift. Takeoff shift. I don't believe the Airbus uses takeoff shift. You talking about flex temp, or... I believe you're maybe getting some Boeing terminology in there. As far as takeoff shift, I don't have an answer for you. I think that's a Boeing thing. Omar says, how do I get the top overlay? It is a plugin. It is from Project Fly, I believe. All right, we need to slow to 250 knots here before we descend below 10. So another quick tip for you guys here, if I can do it before, I'll just use this one. So very hard to slow down and go down in the Airbus, right? So what I'll do here is I'm just going to go ahead and select vertical speed 200, go speed brakes out. That way I keep the descent going at least a little bit, and I can slow down. Whereas if I just left it in open descent, it would just take forever. It wouldn't really start descending. It would just kind of stay high. So a little trick there, just kind of force it into vertical speed, play with it a little bit while your speed is going down to 250. And once we're close enough to 250, we'll just go ahead and push that back in for managed descent, stow the boards. Here's 10,000. Let's get our speed brakes out. Or a little, not speed brakes, but, oh, new light stuff too. So this is our light thing. It's cleared approach. This light comes on. Cleared to land. This goes to takeoff. So that's an official change as well. So I got to remember that. So that's our configuration below 10,000 feet now. Haley's doing her thing in the back. That guy, have you ever thought about upgrading your GTX 1070? Every day, man. Every day. But GTX 1070s don't grow on trees. Or, I'm sorry, like 1080s and stuff. I don't know. Probably my next card, since I am doing the streaming thing pretty heavy now, I'll probably be looking into a 2080. Because I know there's some advancements on there, especially for streamers on the 2080 card. So it's definitely in the cards. It's definitely in the cards, man. What's my flight number for this one? This is JetBlue 153. All right, we can go ahead and set 6,000 for Skull, and then we'll go ahead and... Well, actually, you know what? Let's go 220 manually here. We'll go 220 on the speed. And we're going to do our 10,000 feet. Activate, confirm. And cabin ready. So, Rose, you're probably pretty familiar with that FA panel there then, that fat panel. Oh, are you talking about like Kevin Simpson said it's not the shift to do with runway starting position. So if you have to take off from a runway fix, what we do when we have A cars, right, in the real airplane, and what we would do is we would send for numbers for that intersection in the runway. So when I took off at 10 left delta delta, I would put 10 left / delta delta as my takeoff runway, and then I would send that off, and the A cars would come back and would give me the performance data for 10 left at delta delta. So yeah, we can send up to 3 at any given time. So I'll do 10 left delta delta, 10 left Charlie Charlie, and then 10 left full length. That way, if the ATC changes something, I have numbers for all 3. but that's something we can't simulate here. And even though it's 10 left delta delta on the perf takeoff page, it will still just say 10 left. So it's just something you got to be careful that you verify when you actually send for your numbers. All right, we need to be at 220 knots and 6,000 feet, which we are, looking good. Let's go ahead and bump that up a little bit here. I want to get my screen ready for when we get down there. That looks good to me. 220 and 6,000. Daniel Smith says you run GTX on a 1050. Nice. Telling me to go around. No, sir. Unable to go around. 76 wheelchairs is that bad? Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's just whenever you go to South Florida, man, you'll find out that it's a lot of retirement. Folks go down to South Florida, especially in the wintertime, you know, the snowbirds and stuff. So a lot of wheelchairs to South Florida, especially if it's Fort Myers, West Palm Beach. You're going to have quite a few wheelchairs. Rose Jackson says, still learning that today. Mostly was classroom stuff. I got you, man. That's really exciting. Chris Torres says, I love to travel when there's no turbulence and the plane looks serene. I think we all do, man. I do enjoy a little bit of turbulence here and there, though. Keeps it exciting, right? There's school, 226,000. Our next restriction is express at 190. Looks like we might be entering the clouds there. We're plus 14 on the TAT, though, so we're no icing conditions. Things are looking up. Debrashi says, does heading dash out automatically if heading is selected? Does heading dash out automatic? Yeah. So you mean on the FCU up here? So if I pull heading, it will not be dashed out if it's selected. So if I pull for selected heading, I'm on heading 180. You can see that. If I manage heading, where dashes, that means it's in nav mode. You see the FMA here changed to nav. So now we're in nav mode. So managed is dashes. Selected is you're going to have digits. Because if you're flying a selected heading, you got to know what it is, right? So you don't want to have selected heading and not have a heading information up here. Right, we're in speed out nav. Making the turn here at Kyle. And the last altitude was way at 4,000. Dimitri says, juicy orthos. Yes, sir. I got my juicy orthos up there. Hey, you guys forgot. Look at this. You guys, I'm holding you to a high standard. I even made you a chrono emoji. And you guys forgot to remind me to start the chrono. Unacceptable. Unacceptable, guys. Very disappointed. If you haven't liked this video, you should like it now because you guys failed me as a viewer base to start the chrono. Just kidding. But yeah, that should have been started at gear up. Alright, express at 190. Let's go ahead and drop the speed back on 190. Clearance right now would be similar. You'd probably hear JetBlue 153, reduce speed 190, then descend and maintain 4,000. So we'll go ahead and set 4. We're going to slow back. We are VFE next to minus 10. Let's go flaps 1. Oops, wrong view. Wrong view again. There they are. There's your slats. Oh no, the orthos are gone here. I had some ortho problems here earlier because of the airport and my own ortho got all messed up. But all right, there's open descent. So let's go ahead and we'll give ourselves a vector. So we'll say JetBlue 153, fly heading 250 vectors ILS 9 right. So we'll fly thrust idle, open descent, heading to 150. You can see we're in selected heading. Now we're going to give ourselves an extended runway centerline here. I did a video on this. We're going to do it off of Associ. The radial inbound 267, confirm, insert, and now you got to be sure to reselect your heading so it doesn't make a nav profile for you like that. So now we have a nice extended runway centerline here. Looking good. We're VFE next, minus 10. Let's go flaps 2. Now we can watch it from here. Gosh, I love the sounds. Dimitri says we were slipping and bourbon made me do it. Yep. ND Beacon, do you ever forget to start the chrono in real life? Not really, man. It's kind of muscle memory. And the reason I always forget to do it in the sim is because I'm pilot flying. So in real life, for us anyway, pilot not flying, gear up, start the chrono, we track the speed brake. So when I'm pilot flying, it's not in my muscle memory or habit to start the chrono because I never come over here to the gear lever because I just hit it with the keyboard. But I mean, I'm sure I forgot it at some point, but it's not, you know, you can always look up how long you've been flying in your McDo page. You go to the ATSU program. You can get your off, on, out, and in times all from there. So it's not super crucial. Come left heading 200. Daniel Smith and Soviet Russia chrono starts too. That's funny. All right, so we got out of our juicy orthos there. Now we're back to the nasty scenery, but rain, cool. 68 coming in, $10 bomb. He says, I mentioned likes an hour ago. Ran cool, I'm sorry, man. You're doing work too, getting the likes for me. I appreciate your support, man. Thank you so much for that $10 bomb. Really appreciate your support in the channel. Glad to have you here, man. All right, let's go ahead and descend and maintain a 3,000. JetBlue 153, descend and maintain a 3,000. Turn left heading 140. Maintain a 3 till established. Cleared ILS 9 right. So, cleared ILS 9 right. So, boom, boom. 3,000, 140 on the heading. We have glide slope blue, lope blue, Cat 3 dual, autopilot 1+2. We're below the slope. Philly's over there. Here we go. Loke Star. She's turning in. Kevin Simpson. So it's true that pilots get paid for time from wheels up. Kevin Simpson, it depends on where you work and how your operator does it. But it's basically block out your out time. So for us, it's on wheel roll. As soon as the wheels start to roll, like during the pushback, the clock starts. We call it the OOE times, or off, out, in times. So you're out as soon as the airplane rolls backwards. And then you get paid until you're blocked in when the wheels stop and the door opens. Dimitri says, functioning ATSU is my #1 dream for the 320. Dude, you and me both, man. You and me both. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be happening. I talk a little bit about it on the V1 After Dark podcast that I've been editing for you guys this morning. So for all my members out there, be expecting the October podcast here shortly this week here. All right, slope is coming down. Remember, guys, if you're high and fast all the time, remember, flaps 2, 180 knots, 2,000 feet above touchdown zone. You will be squared away. So I'm just going to leave it at flaps 2, 180 for now. Say we contact tower, JetBlue 153, you're clear to land 9 right. So boom, boom. Clear to land 9 right, JetBlue 153. Glide slope star, we'll set go around altitude. Go around altitude is 3,000 below. That is set, so we don't even need to change it. Our runway's inside already. I'm going to do some hand flying, guys. I feel like doing a little bit of hand flying today. Oh, before I kick it off, Romulus, $10 super chat coming in. He says something to help with the diaper bills. When using anti-ice, do you always turn on wing at the same time as engine? No. So, first off, thank you, Romulus. Thank you so much for that generous donation. And no, we don't use wing anti-ice unless we're really picking up ice, as depicted here by this little ice detector. The engine anti-ice we turn on as a preventative you know, when you're about to go into clouds, but we won't touch the wing anti-ice generally unless we start to pick up ice, because it does take a significant amount of performance from the airplane. And if you're using wing anti-ice on approach, good practice is to turn the wing anti-ice off as you hit the final approach fix. That way when you have to execute your go-around, you can meet all your second segment climb numbers. But all right, here we go. Let's go ahead and disconnect the autopilot. We're hand flying. I'm going to go manage speed, gear down, arm the speed brake, and we're flying. Cat 1. VFE next -10, flaps 3. Man, I've been flying so much with my honeycomb, this feels a little strange. Flaps full, landing check. Alright, cabin crew advised, auto thrust is speed. Auto brakes low, ECAM memo, landing all green, cabin blue. Because I don't want to mess with the flight attendant panel. Hey Rose, if you're still here, will you go ahead and hit your cabin ready button for me so we can get all green? But we are clear to land. We'll let the auto thrust do its thing today. I'm going to go ahead and just do a manual landing with the auto thrust on. You can see that we're easily configured and stable at 1,000 feet here. Gears down, flaps are full, weather's reloading. Perfect. Nice lag out here on final. Nice. Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 when? 1,000 stable, runway in sight, a landing.
1,000.
Nice cargo ship there in the river. Well, the airport's really nice. The scenery approaching the airport apparently is not working. I was trying to move some ortho tiles around so I could have the airport and some ortho. I apologize for that, but not too far off. It is a lot of green around here.
100 above, 500. Minimum 400.
Landing. Couple of sailboats right there on the approach lights. Nice.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. Retard. Retard 5.
We'll take it. Spoilers. Reverse green. Decel. Manual brakes. 70 knots. There, we'll make it. Stow 'em. JetBlue 153, taxi. Straight ahead, left turn, hold short, 9 or left. Straight ahead, left turn, short of 9 or left. JetBlue 153. Clean it up. Welcome to Philadelphia, guys. I think it was what, a 140 something on that plug-in and about a 180 on the other one. Rip frames though, definitely loading up the 3D grass here. I have volumetric grass, but it wasn't terrible. Alright, so let me pull up my taxi diagram for Philly. Basically, I know we're just going to go onto the ramp and then should be good to go. JetBlue 153 at Papa, clear across the 9er left, taxi the ramp with me. Clear across the 9er left, we'll go ahead and light it up. Lights are on, crossing the runway here. Beautiful. Thank you, Haley. You have a wonderful rest of your day as well. Oh boy, off the taxiway there. Rip taxiway lights. Man, I used to live in this airport. Let's go ahead and fire up the APU. Where's my flap open? There it is. Fire it up. We're clear of the runway. Let's go ahead and get that off, that off, that off, that off. Alright, after landing check. Exterior lights are set, flaps retracted, TCAS standby, engine mode selector normal, ground spoilers disarmed, radar PWS is off. I forgot to put this into standby. Debrasha, you say if you don't follow the flight path, it will be dashed out automatically. It will. You're talking about like on your ND? Yes, it will create dashes if you're not in LNAV mode. Man, that's a cool shot of the terminal right there. Thank you, Romulus, for the positive rates there. Ooh. Thank you, Haley. Oh boy, missed the turn. We can make it. Now I believe we park on the backside here. I mean, I just love this airport though. I mean, look at these ground textures. Dimitri, yes, I believe this is ex-Captain Phil. It's a freeware. I know that, so if that's the free one, then I think it is. Cedric, yeah, had an awesome day. Catch you next time. Thanks for being here, Cedric. Great questions, man. I'll see you next time. Fixture Jake says you took a 2-hour nap on the walkway between C and D. Nice. Man, this is a nice little airport here, though. Air Europa, huh? I don't think they'd be over there in a 7.3, but it's none of my business. Totally all over the center line here. But alright, we're going to park it over here. I believe it's over here next to Frontier. We have marshalers out there. Yes, we do. Lights are coming off. The yellow electric pump is on. Let's try not to mess this one up next time, right? Let's go ahead and kill engine 2. Yes, I know. So that's southwest. I think we could park it over here. All right. No bourbon, no excuses. We're going to park this like a boss. There's our auto parking. JetBlue.com. Look at that. Oh, come on. Boom! It's like I've done this before. Brake set, APU is online. Keel engine 1. Here comes the jet bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Philadelphia. That is a thing of beauty right there, guys. That is a thing of beauty. Man, I love it. 10% M1, kill the beacon light. But alright, let's go ahead and kill rear view. Let's get our replays going. Plugin admin, disable real view. Thank you. And we're going to do a replay over here on a Streamlabs, and we're going to do a replay up here. Perfect. Let's back it up. That was a long taxi, so perfect spot there. Got a little music in here, and here we go. Let's watch it from a flap view first. We'll do a couple flap view landings. Get back to some of your contents. Daniel Linhart, I just saw yours. Says, gotta go. See you, V1. Have a good one, buddy. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining the stream. Dreamy Ada says, what is your favorite Airbus in X-Plane? It's probably the flight factor right now, man. But the TOLUS is not far behind, and ask me next week when we have the BSS sound pack for TOLUS. Ask me that question again. Am I excited for the 7.3 Max by ZIBO? I was not aware they were doing a 7.3 Max, but after flying their ZIBO 7.3, I'm excited for anything they do. They have a fantastic airplane out there, absolutely fantastic. It's saddening and makes me angry that we pay for airplanes that aren't as good as the freeware that ZIBO provided. So fantastic job for them. If they're making a Max, absolutely I'll be excited for it. Norco 94, excellent landing in my books. Thank you, sir. I think I might have been just a hair long. We'll see here in a second. A little gust of wind there, but we got her down. Beautiful extension. We're well within the touchdown zone. There's your Florence kit coming up. Man, I love it. Beautiful. Let's back it up a little bit more. Let's go right there. Let's do a left engine view. I'm sorry, right engine view. Dimitri says, a boss. Thank you, sir. Wojtek, just like flying with you on a jump seat. Hey, man, glad to hear it. Glad you're enjoying the jump seat of V1 simulations. You guys are a lot of fun. Today was a good stream, man. We got into some systems discussion. I like that. I love teaching. I love going into the systems. And, hey, I'll be the first to tell you, I am not a know-it-all when it comes to Airbus. There's a lot of things that I still don't know. And I'm here to learn just as much as you guys. And if I got training coming up, so I need to really brush up on some of the oddball questions, and you guys really provide that. So it was good stuff today. Dimitri says, don't hold your breath for the TOLUS BSS next week, the way it's going. Oh, man, I thought the last I checked, it was, he said, what? It was like this week, which was last few days ago? So I thought for sure it'd be out by now. I was really hoping he would kind of, didn't have to give me a free one or anything, but just give me one early so I can get it out there for you guys, get it all hyped up. But I haven't heard anything from Comrade, so I'm sure it's around the corner, man. We'll see. He'll probably release it on Wednesday when I'm at work. That's probably what's going to happen. All right, one more touchdown here inside. We'll do some exterior shots. Man. All right, let's back it up and do some exterior shots. Look at that. Look at the FedEx heavies in the background. All right, we'll do it from here. All right, I'm going to give you guys a couple external shots, and then I'm going to be heading out of here. So I really appreciate you guys tuning into the stream, hanging out with me today. Thank you for all your donations. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the support. Thank you for becoming members of the channel. Thank you for subscribing. and just sitting here viewing the videos and hanging out with us. Ooh, I'll take that. That landing was pretty juicy, guys. That was pretty juicy. So again, thank you guys. Thank you for all my mods and supporters. All you guys here are awesome. So I will catch you guys in a couple of days. I'm going to be off to work on Wednesday, and then I've got some family in town again this weekend. So it's going to be still a little bit busy for me here, but it's going to smooth out, guys, I promise. So we'll have some more streams, some more videos as the month progresses. Anyway, thanks for tuning in today, and I will catch you all on the next one. Hope you have a blessed day wherever you're watching from. See ya.